Welcome to Auto Max, the channel where passion for cars meets detailed reviews, and before we dive into today's classic, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our deep dives into the world of iconic machines. Today, we're rolling back to the early 80s, a time of shifting automotive trends, and we're putting the spotlight on the 1982 Dodge Super, a car that often flies under the radar but deserves its moment in the limelight. Whether you're a fan of American muscle, vintage design, or just curious about what Dodge was offering during a transitional period, this review will take you through every corner of the Super, from its exterior lines to the cabin feel, the way it drives, and even what you could expect to pay for one today. Let's start with the exterior, because the first impression of the 1982 Dodge Super is one that really captures the era. Boxy yet assertive, the design embodies the shift from the bold curves of the 70s to the more squared-off, practical look of the 80s. The front fascia greets you with a wide rectangular grille, flanked by dual headlights that give it a stern, commanding face. Dodge didn't go overboard with chrome, but there's just enough around the grille and bumpers to keep the car looking sharp and somewhat premium. The hood stretches long and flat, a reminder of the muscle DNA still running through Dodge at the time, while the side profile is clean with sharp lines that add to its sturdy stance. The rear is equally squared, featuring rectangular taillights that sit wide, emphasizing the car's width and giving it a strong road presence. It wasn't the flashiest car in 1982, but it carried a unique blend of practicality and subtle aggressiveness that made it stand out among mid-sized competitors. Now step inside, and you're instantly transported back to early 80s American comfort. The interior of the 1982 Dodge Super was built with simplicity and durability in mind, but it doesn't lack character. The dashboard is flat and angular, with large, easy-to-read analog gauges sitting behind the steering wheel, reminding us of an era when cars were about clarity rather than complexity. The materials lean heavily on vinyl and hard plastics, yet Dodge added enough trim detailing to keep the cabin from feeling bare. The seating, often upholstered in broadcloth or vinyl depending on the trim, is wide and surprisingly supportive for long drives. You'll notice how much space you get, both in the front and the back, which makes it a comfortable ride for families. The door panels feature minimalistic styling, and the steering wheel is big, giving you that old-school driving feel. Creature comforts were modest: basic air conditioning, manual or power windows depending on options, and a standard AM/FM radio with cassette player for those cruising tunes. Compared to modern cars, it feels Spartan, but in 1982, this was solid, reliable, and designed to last. Moving on to performance, the 1982 Dodge Super was not a full-on muscle beast like Dodge's earlier Chargers or Challengers, but it still offered respectable powertrains for the time. Under the hood, buyers could typically find a range of engines, starting with a base inline-4, moving up to a V6, and for those who wanted extra grunt, a small block V8. The V8 was where the car really came alive, offering decent horsepower figures that, while modest by today's standards, were enough to provide satisfying acceleration and that signature Dodge growl. The ride quality was more about comfort than razor-sharp handling, with a suspension tuned to soak up bumps and deliver smooth cruising on highways. Steering was light, making it easy to maneuver, though it lacked the feedback enthusiasts might crave. Braking was adequate, with front disc and rear drum setups, and overall, the Dodge Super gave drivers a dependable, enjoyable ride that balanced performance with practicality. Fuel economy, as with most cars of that era, wasn't its strongest suit, especially if you opted for the V8. But considering the period, Dodge was aiming to provide versatility, a car that could serve daily driving duties while still offering enough performance for weekend fun. Enthusiasts today often appreciate the 1982 Dodge Super for its character, its straightforward mechanics, and the way it represents Dodge's resilience during a time when the auto industry was shifting due to fuel crises and stricter regulations. Now let's talk price, which is one of the most fascinating aspects. Back in 1982, the Dodge Super was positioned as an affordable option, priced competitively to attract middle-class buyers. Depending on trim and engine choice, the price tag hovered in a range that made it accessible without feeling cheap. Fast forward to today, if you're looking to own one, the market for these cars is quite niche. You can find them in fair condition starting at just a few $1,000s, while well-preserved or restored examples with V8 power can climb higher, sometimes into the low five-figure range. Compared to other classic Dodges, it's still relatively affordable, making it an interesting choice for collectors who want something unique without breaking the bank. So, The 1982 Dodge Super may not always be the first name that pops up when people think of Dodge classics, but that's exactly what makes it special. It's a time capsule that captures an important chapter in Dodge's story, blending vintage charm with accessible performance and a design that's unmistakably early 80s. If you're into cars that tell a story every time you turn the key, the Dodge Super deserves a spot on your radar. And that wraps up our review here at RPM Studio. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, make sure you hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to Auto Max for more detailed reviews of classics, modern icons, and everything in between. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.